And welcome everyone. A little later than normal on a Monday for our discussion about the Power 36 and the rankings, but we want to do a little bit of a wrinkle here. Compare the Power 36 to the net rankings that were released earlier on Monday, January 4th. I actually feel pretty good about it because let's look at the top 36 net rankings versus my Power 36. I think I see a lot of similarities. Gonzaga, Baylor, Villanova, Texas, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Iowa, Kansas, Tennessee, Houston. They're all in that top region of the net rankings. Creighton. Just actually trying to think where Creighton is here in the net rankings. There they are in the top 30. Rutgers, Ohio State. Ohio State's there, Rutgers, yeah. So a lot of these same teams are in there. Virginia Tech. Look, I'm probably higher right now on NC State because of the way they're playing. So I have them higher up in this. Clemson, 15 in the net, 21 for me. I love the fact that the net recognized Boise State at 13. I have them at 22. Little disappointed I didn't see BYU in the top 36. I thought they would be in there. I love the fact that Drake is 20. I have Drake 36, but they're 12-0. First team to get to 12-0 in the country. That's without Liam Robbins. That's significant. He's the big man at Minnesota. Interesting that, Virginia, and maybe I'm giving Virginia a little bit too much credit. They didn't crack there. And, you could argue who have they beaten so far? Florida in there. Love to see that. I debated putting Syracuse in the Power 36 this week. They made it into the net rankings. So that's obviously great. St. Louis, still in my rankings. They make the net rankings as well, as high as 12. Tulsa I included because they had the win over Houston. So that was significant. Oklahoma State knocked off Texas Tech. Arizona has self-imposed a ban, so they can't participate, but they're 21 in the net. I have them at 32 in the rankings. I still included Northwestern. They had a rough road week last week, so that's disappointing, but what can you do there? Let's see, what else? All right, so let's get to some questions. So Alabama, 36 in the net. I put Alabama 24 because they won at Tennessee. That's why, Corey. Okay, you don't like Louisville, that they're not on my list, Graham. I debated Louisville really hard. I debated Louisville. They're 33 in the net. They were right there to get in. Maybe I should have put them in. They've had a good week. I'm still waiting for them to sort of knock off one of the upper echelon teams in the ACC. Kyle says UConn will be top 25 once they play regularly. I think that's a fair statement. I have them, at 30. I think they'll climb in that. Austin, you're asking about Clemson. I'm feeling very good about Clemson right now. I think Clemson, and we talk about this in our March Madness 365 podcast, I think Clemson has a great shot to win for a second straight year at North Carolina. Randy just screams Duke. And the question is, where is Duke? Well, Duke is not in there in either poll. So I feel better about that because who is Duke beaten? They beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame beat a bad Kentucky right now. So that's why. Jonathan, he's a huge Syracuse fan, but he's wondering if they should be ranked at 25. Maybe I should have had them in. I just said I debated it. Graham, once again, says I should have Louisville in there. That's a fair statement, but I want to see Louisville play a little bit more. Corey doesn't, once again, this is a whole Louisville thread here. Michael says, do I think Gonzaga will go undefeated? At this point, I'd say yes. I don't think they're going to lose in the WCC. The main reason here with Gonzaga is if this was a normal year where we had fans at the Marriott Center, for example, BYU with fans, as we saw last season, even though last season's BYU team I think is better than this season's BYU team, I think that the Marriott Center with 20,000 and a number one undefeated Gonzaga, that would be difficult. But I think, no fans neutralizes the Marriott Center. So I do not think that they're going to lose in the regular season. Unless they potentially reschedule the Baylor game. They're not going to reschedule Tennessee. Could I see Oregon in the top 8, asks Andrew. Where did I have Oregon? Where did I have Oregon? I thought I had Oregon. Oh, I got Oregon high. Where is Oregon? 19 in the net, 13 for me. Yeah, they could keep climbing. Wait till they play UCLA. The game was postponed for an official testing positive, so let's hope for that. All right, Ron says, can Michigan keep up the great play? I would say yes. The Wolverines will end up playing Minnesota this week. Great win over Northwestern. Win at Maryland on New Year's Eve. Hunter Dickinson. I had him as a first-team All-Big Ten right now, and I took some flat that I didn't have Kofi Coburn or Trace Jackson Davis. And the reason was that as well as Kofi has played, obviously Iowa has played a little better and more consistent. And I was thinking, okay, who's been as important to their team? And you could argue that Hunter Dickinson has been as important to Michigan as Kofi Coburn and maybe have more significance because of the role he plays right now. But I think ultimately Kofi could be there. Stephen Decker, he agrees with me on Duke, saying they shouldn't be ranked. But let's see. Let's see what happens. We need more data. All right. Eric says the Wisconsin loss was due to COVID. Yeah, they were depleted in that game. There's no question about that. But their schedule's been a little soft. It's been backloaded. And obviously none of us knew that Kentucky would struggle this badly. West Virginia, look, they're a different team right now without Oscar Tshiebwe. We're going to have to wait and see how they recover from losing a player of that significance. UConn gets no love in the net, Matt, and the reason is their best win was USC, which I think is still a good win, okay? And then DePaul obviously is barely played, so, and then their other wins were insignificant in the net ranking. Jake Wagner asks about Mizzou. So I have Mizzou at 16, and Mizzou is at 10. So within the margin of error, if you will. Stephen, who was my team of the week? It was Texas with their win at Kansas. And then Umoja Gibson from Oklahoma was our player of the week with the effort that he had in their win over West Virginia. Brian says 100% Selection Sunday happens on time. That's the plan, March 14th. Can't tell you exactly when the tournament will start. We know it's going to end, April 3rd and 5th in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil. While I have your attention, we also put out a video today. I'm thrilled with the compromise, if you will. If we can't have the full tournament around the country, have it in one place. I've said this before. It's the best way to do this for health and safety. One governor, one health department. I think that makes the most sense. And great venues. Lucas Oil Stadium, 2 courts, not at the same time. Bankers Life, Hinkle, Fairgrounds, Assembly Hall, Mackey. Assembly Hall and Mackey, there'll be day trips because everyone's going to stay in Indianapolis. Probably a modified quarantine at the beginning. Once we play, we go. Some days off maybe, but very few because we don't have to travel anywhere. And here's my scenario. This is the way I would think of it. I'll leave you with this. U.S. Open, they stayed in one place, the players, then they had practice in a modified control environment, then they play the U.S. Open. You can't expect teams to not practice before they play in the NCAA tournament. So I think it'll be very controlled practices. You're going to the arena, the practice site, and the hotel. That's it. In terms of the Olympic model, Olympics are 2 weeks, 14 days of competition. There's actually 12 days of competition in the NCAA tournament. You could do the 12 days of competition in the NCAA tournament over a 14 to 15-day period. So once you go, we're going straight through, maybe a day or two off before the Final Four. And I think it'll captivate the country. Fingers crossed, we get there. I'm still very confident that the majority, if not all, the conference games will be played. And if teams end up playing, on average, 18 to 22 games, that's a full season. We can feel good about getting through it. A lot of people are working very hard to get this thing done. Happy New Year, everyone. Stay safe. Debate and digest all our content across our social media platforms. I appreciate all of you. Happy New Year again, and we'll talk again next week.